It's the sport of kings, better than diamond rings. Football,
Wildcats,
football,
Wildcats,
football,
Wildcats,
football,
I got it.
Wildcats,
football,
Wildcats,
football,
Wildcats.
football.
All right, Steve. Here we are. Week 15. Feels like it's all slipping away. Only 3 weeks left. So to recap last week, you were actually very non-committal on a lot of games.
I didn't feel good. It's easy to say now because the ones I didn't get to, I didn't.
You didn't do very
well.
good. So you were 4 for 5.
It feels right.
I went crazy picking every game almost, and I went 9 for 3.
9 for 12.
9 and 3, whatever. So
It's strong again.
yeah, and
Very
2 of them
strong.
I missed by 1 point. I know that doesn't matter in football, but I still don't understand why the Dolphins kicked that field goal with 16 seconds
There's
left.
some crazy stuff. Can we talk a little bit about some of that crazy stuff? Like the last game, which was, if you're watching that Monday night game, it was the game of the year. And I was texting with my buddies, like third quarter, we were saying that it was the game of the year. Even before we got to overtime, it just made it even better.
Which game is this? The Cleveland?
Baltimore.
Baltimore.
Oh yeah, that was Sunday night. That was Sunday night, right?
No, that was Monday, wasn't it?
Oh, I'm thinking, yeah. I'm just thinking Thursday. Then I started thinking about Thursday night's game, which was last night. That also went to overtime. The Raiders and the
But speaking of, you owe me $20
I do.
because we bet on 3 games. You won the Eagles.
The Eagles game came through. I
And-
told you they would cover.
I won the Bills and the Ravens.
Which is still under protest, that stupid safety at the end of the game.
Well, I checked. The line on my paper when we did the podcast was -2. So you can
went off at 3.
claim it was a pick, but
Oh, yeah, we keep it in account. I mean, it is what it is. You can only deal
it is
with
what it is.
the lines as they're presented to us Friday night, right?
So we can move on to week 15 now.
And the Eagles coming through with a big upset of the New Orleans Saints. Jalen Hurts era has begun. But since, I'll just say, because we were under 500 I was under 500 for the first time in probably a month and a half for the weekly picks. I had to change up the juju, get good luck based off the Eagles win, going with my Nick Foles jersey, Super Bowl champ.
Oh my God.
And if you see Philly's on underneath the brim of my hat. So I'm changing up the mojo. Hopefully it'll work this week. I feel good about a lot of these games, kind of back into the groove. Last week, like you said, I didn't realize how non-committal I was until I went back. So a couple of my friends made comments to that fact, and I had to go back and listen. And
It's not a pick for me. It's not a pick for me.
I sounded like you.
No play. All right. So first game on the card this
It's gonna
week.
be a lot of plays this week, baby.
They better be good ones, Steve. You got to make up for that. All right. So first game is Carolina at Green Bay. And this opened at -9.5 in favor of Green Bay. It is at -8.5 as of Friday evening. I'll let you go first.
I like Carolina. I mean, DJ Moore's back. McCaffrey is out. He's definitely not coming back this week, right?
He's doubtful.
Yeah, I saw he didn't even show up to practice Thursday. So I doubt if he's not practicing Thursday, he's not going to come back to this game.
Well, does he come back at all this season? I mean,
That's
really?
my point. I'm more like, the question is he come back at all this season? Probably not. I mean, if you were Carolina, why would you want to bring him back? Just let him go to next season. He's the franchise.
But do you think, like, for a team like Carolina, like, this is Matt Rule's first year as the coach, like, does he still want to finish with like a better record than he could?
I'm sure Matt Rule wants him back, but
We don't think Christian McCaffrey wants to come back? I'm just saying from like a management standpoint, it's not a good idea to put your, star player at risk if you're
upper
not playing
management
for
is going to
anything.
make that decision.
All right.
Not the player, not the coach.
My initial take on this was it's a lot of points, and Carolina has kept up with a lot of teams, even in games that they've lost. Last week was quite the little shootout in Denver, or I don't know where the game was, but with Denver.
I was in Carolina.
Yeah, so I kind of had
They lost, right?
They did, but they kept it close. So I can kind of see him keeping it close here. And I think that both teams you can run on. I think I heard like a comment on the radio. The one thing that had me a little bit worried was that Denver was chucking the ball downfield pretty good on Carolina. So now this week you got Aaron Rodgers. So he can chuck the ball with the best of them. So that made me a little bit nervous that maybe Green Bay could pull this out. But this is kind of a similar situation to last week and they didn't cover.
Yeah, I feel like Carolina can stay with them. That's the sense I get. You know, I like their offense. I mean, Bridgewater's effective. He can move the ball up and down the field. Was it Davis at running back is strong. Even he's filled in for McCaffrey very well. And with DJ Moore coming back, now you take some of the pressure off of Bridgewater and having two good receiver options, right?
All right. So you're on Carolina?
Yeah, I like Carolina. I mean, I like Carolina.
I'm going to stick with Carolina. Next game up is Buffalo traveling to Denver. And I feel like Denver is like kind of hard to predict because they've had some really horrible games. But then last week, I mean, they played a good game against Carolina. So it's a matter of what team shows up. The game is in Denver. Buffalo just had a big win last week over Pittsburgh. So I kind of worry that this could be a bit of a letdown spot.
I do too.
Traveling into Denver could be rough, but I'm going to stick with Buffalo. You got a pick on this one? It's 5.5 in favor of Buffalo.
I'm torn on this game, and I like Denver. I like Drew Lock. He struggles against good defenses, and Buffalo has a good defense. So I don't like giving up all this many points on the road. Buffalo's clearly a better team, but I think Denver has shown that they can play with some teams this year, and that Lock has looked decent. But if you look back at it, it's really against the poor defenses.
But do you really consider
sense?
Buffalo like an elite defense? I don't.
I'm not saying they're elite, but they're definitely in the upper tier. They're like top 10. For sure, you got to put them in the top 10, right? That doesn't mean you're elite, but
I don't know.
You're a strong defense. When you consider Houston, Carolina last week, right? The Chargers they played decent against, some of their wins. You know, those are bad defenses. So Buffalo's on the good side. I'm officially no play. I want to take Denver here because of the points. I'm not going against Buffalo. I got burned last week. That's probably when you do go Denver, but I'm no play for me.
Okay. I'm going to take Buffalo.
Okay.
So next game up is Houston at Indianapolis. These teams played 2 weeks ago. The Colts won that game by 6. And that was Houston's first game without Will Fuller. It sounds like they will have Brandon Cooks back this week, as well as David Johnson.
David Johnson back from COVID.
So, I mean, last week, I don't know who you were on, but I was on the other side because I was worried about all the injuries in Houston. And they did lose that game.
That was against the Bears? I believe that was a no play for me.
Yes, I was on Chicago there. So my first take on this was Indy, but then I kind of had second thoughts. And it opened at -6 in favor of -6.5. It's at -7.5. So do you have any thoughts on this game?
I like Indy.
You do? All right.
Yeah.
At 7.5.
I do. I think this game is a little bit close. It does worry me too because I'm a big. I followed Houston a lot this year. Cooks coming back doesn't scare me because Cooks is so fragile. It's like, hey, one hit and he's gone. And then who does he have? He has nobody to throw to. So if Watson doesn't have anybody to throw to, you know, he's going to have to try really hard to stay with Indy. I think they're just in different mindsets here towards the end of the season. Indy's gearing up for the playoffs. This is kind of.
Well, Indy, I guess, definitely needs this game because they're tied at 9-4 with the Titans.
Well, here's the problem with Houston, okay? Last week, they lost their safety. This week, they're losing their other safety. So they're going to have no safeties. They're going to be backups. And then they've got like a 3-man rotation for 2 cornerback slots because nobody's stepping up to take the position. So their defense is very, very suspect. Indy's going to score points.
Well, he can run all over the Texans too. So
yeah, I don't like Houston a little bit in this matchup. I think Indianapolis.
T.Y. Hilton has come back from the dead.
Yeah, T.Y. Love him.
All of a sudden, the last 2 games, he's had big games. He's always better at home. So, all right, you talked me into sticking with Indy. I would take him at 7. I don't know if I'll take him at 7.5.
That's not allowed. Just jump on my picks now.
Was that your pick?
Indy.
Because you just said, okay.
Indy.
All right. I thought you just said
what? I said Indy. And you just said, you talked me into Indy. So my response was, oh, you're changing now. You want Indy? You're jumping on my picks.
I guess I wasn't listening because I thought you weren't picking. All right. So next game is Detroit at Tennessee. And I think Matt Stafford is definitely questionable this week. So that's probably the one thing you got to watch for is whether or not he's going to play. Because I think he had a thumb injury, correct? And now last week he got a rib injury too. So he's basically, if he does play, he's playing with 2 injuries. The line opened at -8.5 in favor of Tennessee, and now it's up to -11. I assume that's people doubting that Stafford is going to play. If Stafford doesn't play, it would be Chase Daniel, I believe. So,
and then it's bet the mortgage.
Yeah, so I think if Stafford doesn't play, I would definitely take Tennessee, even at 11.
Chase Daniels.
You can run all over Detroit, and so I think it's going to be a monster Henry game.
Yes, I agree with everything you're saying. Tennessee.
And I think that Tennessee stepped up on their defense a little bit last week, so I'm not worried about that aspect of it. Now, if Stafford does play, I mean, that's a big line, so I don't think I could take it there.
I'll take it regardless. AFC South, I told you Tennessee, Indy. I kind of bucked that trend last week. I'm not making that mistake. The rest of the way, we're going Indy. We're following up with Tennessee. I think that if Chase Daniels does start, hammer it, you know. We could worry a little bit of a backdoor with
Stafford like they did last week.
Yeah, but I'm not even worried about that. I mean, I don't think it matters who's the quarterback. Tennessee's going to roll in this game. I think you take Tennessee.
Why do you feel so confident? I think their offense will roll, but are you worried about their defense?
Henry. I like Henry.
Are you worried about like what happened in Cleveland?
Their defense played strong last week.
So against Jacksonville.
I like Tennessee.
Okay.
I'm not worried about their defense. They're at home. I don't like Detroit in this game at all.
Okay. So next game up is the New York Jets traveling to LA to play the Rams. This opened at -13.5. It's up to -17. And that's a lot of points. It's also the Jets' second. It's the Jets' second trip west because they traveled to Seattle last week where they lost, was it 40-3? And now they're traveling back to the West Coast to LA. So, I mean, I think LA has a better defense than Seattle does with Aaron Donald and everything. So I think they definitely win. I think they could potentially win by 17, but it's just a lot of points to put down. What do you think?
I don't think they can make the line high enough.
Really?
To not
well,
take
you
the
took
Rams.
the Jets last week.
Yeah, got burnt.
And what was it then? I think it was 14.5.
Yeah, well, Seattle had not looked strong in the last 3 weeks. Anyway, I don't like the Jets. I like the Rams. I think they're going to punk them. They're going to get smashed again. They're coming out west, these long trips. They proved they couldn't do it last week. I think you go right back into it this week. Rams roll.
But would you take it at 17?
Yeah. I said, I don't think you can make the line high enough. That means if they're giving me 30.
It doesn't mean just because you say that doesn't mean that you're going to put your money on it.
I like it at 17.
Okay. You're taking the Rams.
It's a lot of points.
I am not going to take it at that many points. Although I could see it. So next game is Tampa Bay at Atlanta. This opened at -1.5 in favor of Tampa Bay, and now it's up to 6. Do you have an explanation for that?
Yeah, Atlanta sucks.
Well, I know they suck, but like, why does it line? That's a big line movement.
People are betting Tampa. The people are in love with Tom Brady. You should know that.
Well,
you love
I have
him
to
too.
say, huh?
You love him too. If Tom
love.
walked in this room right now, would you stay with me?
I loved them last week, and even though they did win and they did cover, I was not impressed. It was not what I expected to see. I expected them to come out and absolutely dominate horrible Minnesota secondary, and it didn't happen that way. So I still have my concerns with Tom Brady and Bruce Arians and what's going on there.
All right, you want me to look at the other side?
Now, this is a division game, but these teams have not played yet this year. They played this week and in week 17. Just to get that out there for the record.
All right, anything else you want to get out there before I start breaking this thing down?
Julio Jones is out for Atlanta.
All right, here's the things I don't like about Tampa. Jones is out, the running back.
Yes.
No, let me talk, please. Jones is out. So that's scary because Leonard Fournette was a healthy scratch last week. So, question Leonard Fournette, is he going to come out here and be an animal and be upset about last week? Or, is he going to have an adverse reaction to not being suited up last week?
Are they going to play
the
with
other thing
Sean McCoy?
Is that Atlanta, Sean McCoy is done. Who cares? Atlanta, and I'm saying that as an Eagles fan, the all-time leading rusher of the Philadelphia Eagles, by the way. Look that one up. By the way, the thing about Tampa that also scares me is that they play a lot of zone. Matt Ryan does well against zone. So it does worry me a little bit with Tampa, the line movement. I don't know why else it would be going up towards Tampa other than, just all the money's coming in on Tampa. So typically when that happens, you should probably go Atlanta. What do you think about Ronald Jones, Leonard Fournette? Like, it was almost like they gave up on Fournette and they're like, we're going to concentrate on Ronald Jones, and then boom, he's out of the lineup and they had no other choice to play Fournette.
So Fournette had a lot of drops. Now, Bruce Arians is totally that coach that will hold a grudge too. So that's why I even mentioned LaShawn McCoy, because I could totally see Arians doing that.
I just haven't seen anything out of LaShawn McCoy in the last 2-3 years.
But it's not. I'm not saying because
even relevant.
He looks good, because Arians doesn't want to have to play Fournette and he doesn't have Jones.
I would love to see LaShawn McCoy get the ball and LaShawn McCoy do well.
Now they have I think he's a rookie. I can't remember his name, but he hasn't gotten much play either.
I feel like I just talked myself into Atlanta.
I have my concerns. I really do. But they desperately need this because their record's 8-4 or 8 and whatever.
Who desperately needs this?
Tampa.
They don't really desperately need it.
Yeah, they do. They're second in the division. And you got Seattle and...
Listen, there's 3 games left.
Yeah.
Right? So the division's gone. Yeah. It's 10-3 versus 8-5.
So you look at the wild cards.
Yeah, so you're looking at the wild cards, right? They're the highest wild card. Right? They got 8 wins. No, Seattle's got 9 wins. So the loser of the division in the NFC West would be the Rams or Seattle, who are now both tied at 9-4. So let's consider just one of those teams being 9-4, the first wild card. Right? There's 3 slots. So the third slot is Arizona. They're at 7-6. So Tampa's a full game above Arizona. Arizona's the one, and we'll talk later, that desperately needs it because they got teams nipping behind them. I think Tampa, their focus is not really, we got to win this game to make sure we get into playoffs. I think they almost feel like they're in the playoffs. I think the Tampa mindset is we got to gear up to produce so that we are a legitimate contender to go win this thing when January starts, to win the whole title. So it's tough because of that mindset, and I want to see Tampa do well. I'm wondering if I'm just wanting Tampa in this game rather than looking at the things that I just talked about, because I'm really big on Ronald Jones.
Atlanta hasn't looked good. Tampa has a pretty good defense.
Who did they just lose to?
The Saints. No. Last week they lost to the Chargers, and then they played the 2 games with the Saints recently.
Atlanta lost to the Chargers.
Yes.
Yeah, and the Chargers. Bears pretty good.
But I feel like the Chargers can score better than the Bucs can at this point. So I don't know.
I think I read Tom is like 6-0 versus Matt Ryan in his
Really?
career.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Okay, this is all right. I'm going to totally change my mind. All right, because there's too much stuff going in my head. I feel like the Tampa is like everybody loves Tampa. Everybody loves Tom Brady. You know, based off of nothing that's relevant from this year, they're going with Tampa. Tampa hasn't looked that good. Atlanta's not that good either, right? You got no Julio Jones. It's only going to be Ridley. I'm going to talk myself back into Tampa. But here's the thing that is making me start to consider Tampa or Atlanta.
You can't run on Tampa, but Atlanta really doesn't have a run game at this point because
Have they
Todd
played
Gurley's
since the
knee is
Super Bowl?
catching up with him.
Has Matt Ryan seen Tom Brady on the field since that comeback in the Super Bowl when it was 28-3 at halftime and they lost?
I don't know.
So if I'm Matt Ryan,
I want to say yes, but I could be wrong.
this is like major revenge, right? Even though it's not the same team, New England, it's still Tom Brady. That's like the arch nemesis. Tom Brady beat me in the Super Bowl. He brought the Patriots back from a big deficit at halftime. So I almost feel like Matt Ryan, if he had any balls, right? He should have this game circled on his calendar when the schedule came out.
No, but do you really? I don't know.
I just don't
see it
trust that
way.
Matt Ryan's like.
I mean,
That's what it should be, but has Matt Ryan like got any balls? Does Matt Ryan have any balls? That's the
no,
question.
I don't think he does. And it's been all downhill for them since that Super Bowl.
Oh, this is a game that drives you nuts.
All right. Well, I'm going to stick with Tampa. I don't
I'm
necessarily
gonna
feel
stick with Tampa
good
too,
about it.
because I hate Matt Ryan, and there's no Julio. So at the end of the day, Tampa's gearing up for the Super Bowl.
What's
That's their
Atlanta-
mindset. Atlanta sucks.
What's Atlanta's record?
4-9. They're tied with Carolina.
So
They've lost 2 in a row. They're 2-5 at home. Equal 2 wins, 2-4 on the road.
well, maybe Tom Brady walking out on that field and seeing Matt Ryan on the other side will bring back some of that good juju that he used to have. Because it ain't been there this year, that's for sure.
All right, Tampa on this one? Both of us?
All right, we'll go Tampa.
All right, Tampa. I try to talk myself into Atlanta. I can't do it.
So the next game on the list is New England.
Oh, I have a headache just talking about that game. I can't imagine what that's going to look like, people listening to what the hell we just talked about. I think we broke it down pretty well, though.
New England at Miami opened at -3 in favor of Miami. It's down to -1.5 in favor of Miami. We talked in previous podcasts about Bill Belichick's record versus rookie quarterbacks. I think it was 20-5 then. It would now be 21-5 because they beat the Chargers.
Smoked them.
Smoked them.
46-0? 43-0? Something like that?
Yeah. So
are you going New England? If you're going New England, I think that's all we need to say.
I don't feel good about it. Now, these teams did play week 1, but that was Fitzpatrick. And New England did win that game. And Brian Flores, who's the coach of Miami, is the former defensive coordinator for the Patriots.
So the Patriots lose this game, they're out, right? If whatever they're clinging to from a hope standpoint, they're 6-7. Let's say they win this game, they're 7-7, right? So they would climb into still like mathematical possible. So let's look at the wild card. We talked before about Miami, Oakland, right? And the Baltimore fighting for that spot. Now we get to, if they win this game, we got to talk about New England fighting for that spot. So Miami's got the 8 wins. That's the last wild card. Baltimore's got 8 wins. They're 8-5, so they're tied. And then Vegas just lost. So they're 7-7. So
Miami needs this game.
Yeah. Oh, Miami needs this game, but New England's even more desperate. Because let's say New England wins and Miami loses. Miami is 8-6. New England's 7-7. They're only a game back.
Right.
So now if Baltimore also loses, who I don't think that's happening. They're playing Jacksonville. All right. They would only be a game out of the wild card with 2 to play. Does that make sense?
Well, yeah, but I guess, I don't know. I mean, do you think that the Patriots are really like...
We have a playoff shot?
Do you think Bill Belichick's like looking for a 7th ring? Like, I don't think he's thinking that way this season.
He's
But I think
he's
he
trying to
would
get in the playoffs, and then whatever
probably
happens.
like to play spoiler for the Dolphins. So if he can give them a win or a loss this week, then it makes it more difficult for them.
Yeah, and realistic, Baltimore has like Jacksonville, Giants, and Cincinnati left.
So I mean, I would be all over the Patriots, I guess, if it wasn't for the game against the Rams last week. I was on New England in that game, and they didn't look good. So, I mean, that's what kind of holds me back. But I've been in this position before, and they've come out and won. So, I mean, they're kind of Jekyll and Hyde this year. But I'll stick with the philosophy of Bill Belichick versus the rookie, and I'll take the Patriots. That's
where I'm leaning too. I'm going New England. I'm not going to overthink this. I love Miami. You know, Miami's my team. The line's going down, so I tend to go against that. When you see big line movement change, but it's only 3 to 1.5, 1 some places. I think you have to play the angle of the quarterback being a rookie, and like you just said, Belichick's record against it. I think Cam's going to struggle against that Miami defense. That Miami defense is playing pretty good. Well, and the other thing, I mean, Miami's defense is better against the pass, but they're susceptible to the run. So, I mean, I think Belichick can come up with a scheme to run the ball and maybe get there that way, as long as the defense can hold so
Miami.
I'm taking New England, but I'm cheering for Miami. I guess
Miami surprised me a little bit last week against the Chiefs. I didn't really expect them to kind of stay in that game, but they did. All
right, next game, we got Seattle going to Washington. It's a 1:00 game. Seattle opened up as a 3-point favorite, but it's bet up to 6.5 now Friday night.
And I'm honestly surprised that's not higher.
Well, it's Friday night, right? That thing's definitely going to 7 and probably higher, like to your point. Yeah, you got no Alex Smith this week. He left at halftime of the game last week. He's been ruled out as of today. So you're going with Haskins. Seattle just coming off that big blowout win.
Dwayne Haskins is horrible.
So, like, I came out of the season firing on Washington, and Haskins was a starting quarterback. He looked horrible. He played against a good defense. He looks like he has no clue. He started feeling a little bit of a groove, but I can't even talk up Washington as much as I love them. I still think they're going to win the NFC East. They need to get Alex Smith back in there, and they need to get him back in there fast. I love the defense in Washington. With all that said, I'm taking Seattle. And if Haskins is a starting quarterback, I'd take Seattle anywhere under 10.
Now, do you think like the Washington defense can step up and keep it close?
Here's the thing. I think Washington's front four is going to have to live in the backfield, right? So now you're saying, okay, so the key to this game is that front four against Russell Wilson. Can they contain Russell Wilson? Who really contains Russell Wilson? He's very intelligent. The secondary is where the problem is. That's where Seattle strikes you hard, right? With the deep pass over the top to Lockett, the deep pass over the top to, more importantly, DJ Metcalf. So that's why I really like Seattle here. I think even though it's the strengths of the Washington's defense against Seattle's offense, I think that matchup plays out well for Seattle. If that offensive line can just give him enough time to get those routes down the field a shot. If they get to the quarterback and they try to hit these long passes all day and they can get to the quarterback fast with Chase Young and the crew, it's going to be a long day for Russell Wilson. But I don't think even that with Haskins quarterback and you're looking at 2-3 picks.
Yeah. Do you think that the defense for Washington is less motivated knowing that, like, at least with Alex Smith, he can keep him in the game? Now you got Dwayne Haskins. And if you think he's going to throw 3 picks anyway, like, what's the point of us trying to keep us in the game if he can't perform?
Well, I think that they are going to go into the game now. They're going to go into the game thinking that we need to perform better than if Alex Smith was there. I think that they're going to be amped up to play. Now they start getting down by 2 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns. I think you'll see that mentality crack because of the situation that they don't have as much confidence that they can come back with Haskins. So it could fall apart quickly.
All right. Well, I'm all over Seattle there. Next game up is Chicago at Minnesota. These teams played in week 9. The line opened at -6.5 in favor of Minnesota. It's down to 3. And what's responsible for that line movement?
No idea. Last week's game with Mitchell Trubisky. See, when Vegas puts out their opening line, that's the thing, is they're not just saying, hey, look at last week what Mitchell Trubisky did. They're looking at the whole season. They intelligently come out with a line.
It means that something is...
That means that everybody looked at Mitchell Trubisky, the public, right? There's two sides here. There's the book and there's the public. The public runs to the book and says, Mitchell Trubisky. Let's everybody take Chicago. And
so they're giving Mitchell Trubisky credit for beating the Texans without half their...
I don't know, Jack. I'm just giving a philosophy as to why the line
All
moved.
right,
You know what I mean? There's no book. There's nobody says this is why the line moved. You got to analyze and try to figure it out yourself. Okay?
Exactly. So that's why I'm asking.
I don't see any injury like we've talked about. So that's what I'm guessing is happening here.
Okay.
It's a no play for me. What do you think?
Well, we both, I think, were on the Bears when these teams played back in week 9. And that was when Foles just couldn't do anything. I think Mitchell Trubisky is better than Nick Foles, and I'm going to take the Bears again this week. Next game is Jacksonville at Baltimore. This opened at -11, and it's up to -13 in favor of Baltimore. So last week against the Titans, Glennon got pulled and Gardner Minshew is back in. He will start this week. I came across an article online. There are 2 linebackers, Yannick Ngakoue, if I said that right, and Calais Campbell, who both were in Jacksonville, part of the good Jacksonville defense from a few years ago where everybody wanted out desperately. So they both got out, both ended up in Baltimore. And basically the article said that Minshew is expecting to have to run for his life because they're going to be coming off the edge. Kill him. Now Calais Campbell is questionable. So my initial take...
Is Minshew back?
Yeah, he's the starter.
Okay.
He's been back. He was the backup. My initial take was thinking that now, like last week, Baltimore played Cleveland. And even though I was on Baltimore ultimately won the game. It was not the game that I expected. I didn't expect a 40-something to 40-something score. I thought that they were going to get pressure on Baker Mayfield and that the Browns wouldn't do much. So Baltimore has some injuries on defense. I mean, they're obviously allowing other teams to score on them. So I kind of thought that Jacksonville could put up some points. But I'm going to give a little credit to those guys wanting a revenge against Jacksonville. So I definitely think Baltimore wins. It's still a big line at 13. But I'm kind of inclined to take it. Thoughts? What are you doing over there?
I'm just thinking about the game. Like, come in here. I like Baltimore, but I didn't realize Gardner Minshew was starting.
Was that better? I mean,
that's what I'm trying to figure out. So that's what I'm thinking. I'm trying to analyze because I analyzed this game without Gardner Minshew being the starting quarterback.
Now, I mean, I thought like Mike Glennon. I mean, last week they only put up 10 points against Tennessee, but the games before that he started, I mean, he kept all the games close. I mean, he looked functional. I mean, now it's kind of like the factor of having Minshew come back in. We don't really know what to expect. I mean, he had some decent performances early and then totally.
All right, I'm switching. I like Minshew.
Really?
They're going to keep this game close. Baltimore's not that good. They're going to 13 points with Minshew. I mean, I just thought that Glennon was quarterbacking and he looked like he was awful last week. I'm worried about, I think it's going to be a big J.K. Dobbins game. It looked like last week that he was getting the lion's share of the carries. I think it was 11 or 12. I looked at it before. I'm not looking at it now. But more importantly, it was Gus Edwards and not Mark Ingram. And Mark Ingram's supposed to be back and healthy. So I don't know if that's them resting for the playoffs or that's legitimate. Mark Ingram looks slow. I guess, J.K. Dobbins is they got to start giving this guy. I'm still waiting for them to give this guy like 20 carries. I don't know if it's ever going to happen with the rotation, but.
Well, they never do they? They always play the rotation. But, I mean, you can run on Jacksonville, too.
Damn.
So.
It's just so many points, right?
It is a lot of
That's
points.
the only reason. I mean, I think Baltimore.
I mean, if the Baltimore defense shows up, I mean, I think they could totally shut down Jacksonville.
This is a Jacksonville game.
But
because here's the thing. They just got their ass kicked, right? So everybody's looking at Baltimore. That line's going from 11 up to 13. And Jacksonville has kept a lot of games when you're not expecting them to be even in it. They've kept a lot of games close, right? Like the Green Bay game a couple weeks ago. They covered the line,
that was Glennon.
Yeah. But see, here's the thing. Mitchell was a starter and looked at as the heir apparent. This guy had T-shirts made with a big mustache, right? Like everybody thought it was Mitchell, and then he's not the guy. So he's been sitting on the bench thinking about like, how did I lose my job, right? And I think that this is this first game
For a team that's basically tanking anyway for the second pick in the draft.
I just think with him getting the opportunity to come back, it sparks something into somebody, right? And he's been proven that he's been competitive and that he can move the ball. Is Chark playing?
I have no reason to say that he's not.
You keep talking. Let me look up Chark. If Chark's playing, I'm on Jacksonville. Okay, that's the only thing. Because that's Mitchell's guy, right? He's had a lot of success with him. And Chark hasn't done much. Does little with 9 targets. Yeah. 2 receptions on 9 targets in week 14 against the Titans. Right? So he's sitting there. He's like, they threw me the ball. So they are trying to get him in the game plan, but he only had 2 receptions. So I didn't watch all the game to see whether these were bad passes. He was dropping. He was playing bad.
Well, he was.
That even makes me more want to say that he's going to play better to make up for that poor outing last week. So real quick, this is just one thing I want to get out is Jacksonville just got their butt kicked, right? So a lot of people, again, when our betting was short-term memory, just looking at last week saying, there's no way Jacksonville can hang with Baltimore here. Baltimore needs the wins. They're playing. Baltimore looked good. They beat Cleveland. They scored 40-some points. Jacksonville defense can even contain Jackson.
Well, I will mention that 2 of...
It's like a backdoor game.
Baltimore's cornerback Jimmy Smith, I think his name is out, and then Marcus Peters is questionable. So they are banged up in the secondary, so that could be a good thing for Shark, because Minshew did have a connection with him.
Yeah, I'm going Jacksonville. Too many points. It's just too many damn points, and it's probably still going to go up.
You're talking me off of Baltimore. I'm not going to take it at 13. Don't let me
impact. People don't want me to impact you. You're the one that's hot.
Well, it's thinking through the whole thing.
Okay, good. Okay, as long as you're saying that. I mean, I just want to make sure.
The fact that, like you mentioned, DJ Shark and the cornerback injuries have me a little concerned. So I could see Baltimore going up big. I could see Jacksonville garbage time, couple long passes to DJ Shark, and there goes the spread.
Yeah, so you got to look at how these things kind of look opposite too. Gardner Minshew saying
because I also feel like Gardner Minshew is a great garbage time quarterback.
Yeah,
he's like a Blake Bortles.
Yeah, they could jump out, but who's Baltimore really been blowing out?
Well, I know that's what I'm saying. They have injuries on defense, so it's not that team that can hold the score down.
And Minshew calls out Ngakoue, right? For like, he's going to want to kill us. That's kind of like a reverse mind trick, right? That's like, hey, offensive line, look who's coming to town. And he is going to want to kill them all, right? But it's almost like he's saying, hey, guys, wake up, get focused. You know he's coming after us. And I think it might have an adverse effect where it's not, hey, he's going to come kill us. It's me getting my guys ready to say, you better step up and stop him. And I think, I'm not saying they're going to dominate and win. I just think that they can play a competitive game with Baltimore.
I think they can get back in it in garbage time.
Yeah, why not? Okay. Well,
I'm not going to take
points, right?
I'm not going to take Jacksonville.
All right.
I'm not going to take Baltimore either.
I'm switching up. I mean, I have, look, Baltimore circled, right? All right. Jacksonville. I'm on record. Jacksonville. You?
No play.
You dirty dog.
All right. So next game up is Cleveland at the New York Giants. This opened at -3 in favor of Cleveland. It's up to -6. This line movement I can clearly explain based on last week's performances, with Cleveland keeping themselves in it with Baltimore and the Giants just looking horrible against the Cardinals. I have no idea what to make of the Cleveland Browns at this point, and I don't really have a play on this game.
What? You're no playing again?
Yeah, I have no play. I don't know what to do with the Browns. I really don't.
I mean, Cleveland. Giants suck. You know, I'll say it. I said it before. I said it the week before that. I said it the week before that. I'll say it again this week. The Giants suck, and they're not winning this division. They're not winning this game either. So I don't know about the points. I don't like the road dog. I'm not in love with it, but you know, I think Cleveland.
The road dog, the home dog.
I don't like I don't like the home dog. But I don't feel good about Cleveland going on the road being a 6-point favorite. It's a tough game. You know what? I'm going no play either, but I want to go against the Giants so bad. This was the other one.
You just yelled at me for having no play again, and then I talked you into no play.
This would be my third no play. That last one that I had no play on was Chicago, Minnesota. I was going to pick this game, but I can't. These are two teams that I hate probably the most.
Well,
so for
I feel
me
like
to really pick this game, I want to go against them both. Can I say it's gonna be a push?
Last week you loved the Browns.
I know, because
you're like, I can't believe I'm going to say this.
I know, and look what happened.
Well, they lost, but they
got burnt. I should have never jumped on the Cleveland.
I mean, there was 80 some points in that game.
Yeah, but to your point, Baltimore's defense is banged up. They're not looking that good.
Yeah, so
the Giants' strength is what?
Defense.
Yep, and they're at home.
Now, Daniel Jones, I don't know if maybe he wasn't ready to come back yet last week. I mean, it just wasn't a good game for him. He's great for a sack fumble or two in a game, and he did that early last week.
This will probably be a Cleveland 3-point win.
So,
like 20 to 17.
I don't think Cleveland's going to put up 40 points on the Giants. I mean, it really comes down to what the Giants can do, I think. And I don't trust them. I feel like I've given the Giants defense a lot of credit, and I've taken them in games and they've lost. And then the games where I haven't taken them, they perform. So I'm just not touching it.
All right. Who circled on my paper? This is what I'm going with.
I can't find it. Oh, they're both circled.
No, they're not.
They are.
That's a sloppy circle. I'm going Giants. This is why. I don't like the Giants. I'm switching. Yeah, I'm going on record, and I'm going to, because I know how my brain thinks, and by Sunday, this is where I'll get to. I don't like either team. Giants are at home. They're a home dog. It's too many points. Too many points. Cleveland should not go on the road and be favored by 6 against anyone. I don't care how much better they're getting. They shouldn't be 6-point favorites on the road to anybody in this league.
All right. You're going on the record for the Giants.
Giants.
Okay. So next game up is Philadelphia at Arizona. And I'm actually surprised. Now, and the line stayed consistent. It's -6.5 in favor of Arizona. Now, I would have thought that everybody would be all over Philly now because they got their big win last week with Jalen Hurts' first start. But everybody that I've heard on the radio and everything is all over the Cardinals. I guess Darius Slay.
The Cardinals dominated last week.
Darius Slay is out. Avonte Maddox, I don't know if he matters, but he's out.
He does. He's a slot guy. He's a slot cover corner.
I thought he sucked, though.
No, I like him. They drafted him. He left and he came back. I was always a big fan when they drafted him. Slay's the big thing. That's their big ticket item in that secondary, right? And you also, was it Robinson? Robinson's gone. Damn, who's their other safety? Just got hurt last week. I think he's done until it's not Robinson. It was the other safety. McLeod. McLeod is out for the year, I believe. He's not playing this week. So that secondary is in trouble.
So, and I think Kyler Murray, if he was kind of playing through the injury, I think he's over it. He looked okay last week against the Giants. So I'm going to go with everybody, and I'm going to take Arizona.
Well, let me tell you, last week we were all over the Eagles to cover that spread. I was.
I did back off it on my card.
You're welcome. So,
which I hit all the games. I lost on 2 over-unders.
Jalen Hurts did good, right? But here's the problem. We're in COVID. He's not getting all that practice time like you would normally have with the guy. He's a rookie. He ran really well. He had over 100 yards rushing last week. And Miles Sanders, the running back, also had 100 yards.
Did he?
I believe so.
Oh, yeah.
So
he had the long run.
That was a good, it was a good game. And you're looking at the best record in that, was the best record, right, in the NFC. But if you watch the game, the Saints pretty much shut Jalen Hurts down in the second half. And they made a ferocious comeback after being down 17-0, I believe it was at halftime. But the Eagles got points late in the game to put it away. I think now you got so you had the Saints, after a half of football, made some adjustments, shut the guy down. Now you got a week or a game of tape on him. And let's be honest, how much different is that game plan going to get from Doug Peterson this week, from last week to this week? Is Doug Peterson going to have a whole slew of new plays to run to full Arizona? No, they're going to run a lot of run pass option. They're probably going to call more design runs where he was effective as he was dropping back to pass, and he would just break out of the pocket and run. So it was not planned. With all that said, Philly's going to get stomped.
All right. So your play is Arizona?
Absolutely.
All right. So the next game up is probably, I guess, the most interesting game of the week. Kansas City at New Orleans. It opened at -3 in favor of Kansas City. It's at -3 in favor of Kansas City.
Is it that interesting?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's 2 good teams playing each other. That makes it interesting, right? This could be a Super Bowl matchup, right?
There's one injury that just totally takes everything away.
Well, so let me finish. We have Drew Brees coming back, but we have Michael Thomas out.
That's what I was talking about.
Which is interesting, but we won't go down that road.
So what do they have? Emmanuel Sanders?
Well, they have a running back named Alvin Kamara.
Well, that's true.
And that's who they've relied on
in
previous games. And Kansas City, that's where their weakness is in the run defense versus the pass defense. So
he only had 50 yards last week against the Eagles. So
50 total or 50 rushing?
50 rushing yards. 50 total rushing yards. So he's going to look to.
I think he had like 65
back.
Passing yards. But, well, Kamara wasn't as involved in the offense with Taysom Hill at quarterback because he was doing a lot of the running too. So, so it could be a big Kamara game. I don't know with Drew Brees just coming back. I mean, supposedly he had like 8 broken ribs or something. Does that heal that quick? I don't know.
When you're 40?
So
8 broken ribs when you're 40. It's not feel good. Sure.
So, I mean, the Saints have kind of relied on their defense and the run game when Michael Thomas has been out. I'm assuming that's what they're going to do here. I don't know that the defense can do enough to stop Patrick Mahomes. So I think my initial pick was Kansas City, and I got to stick with it. I mean, Michael Thomas being out kind of, because he really doesn't have anybody else to throw it to unless it's Kamara. And, Cook.
Before Drew Brees went out and Michael Thomas was out missing a lot of games, that offense, that's when they struggled.
Well, I don't even know. Has Michael Thomas played with Drew Brees?
I think early. And then
he
wasn't
went
out from week 1, was he?
He was injured at the end of the game in week 1. I know that for a fact because I had him on my fantasy team.
Yeah, so then he was out for a while.
But I don't know if he came back and played one game with Drew Brees or if he came back the week that Taysom Hill took over. I think Michael Thomas has a beef with Drew Brees. But
you think? I don't think so.
Well, the comments over the summer with the whole,
Don't even get me started.
No, let's not. Like I said, we're not going to go down that road. But the timing is interesting. So, do you have a pick on the game?
First of all, everybody should respect the American flag.
Steve,
we're not representing opportunity.
No, we're not doing anything.
Second of all,
Steve,
Michael Thomas is out. that's all I need to hear. I'm taking Kansas City.
Okay, good. All right. Next game up is San Francisco
Scared you there for a second, didn't I?
traveling to Dallas. We don't talk politics. We don't talk religion. Okay.
I'm not Catholic either.
All right. San Francisco at Dallas.
I'm not Catholic. Only my kids are.
Do you have a pick on this game?
I'm taking Dallas because I can't take San Francisco when Nick Mullins is the quarterback. And I just see him getting worse and worse and worse. I think Dallas is starting to. Dallas is playing better, right?
Are they?
I feel they just whipped the shit out of Cincinnati. I know Cincinnati's bad, but what is San Fran? What has San Fran done without Garoppolo and Kittle?
Well, Dallas has been getting destroyed on the ground. And what does San Francisco want to do? Run the ball.
Mozart's back.
He is back. But, I mean, they got Jeff Wilson. They got somebody else. I don't think it really matters.
Well, here's the thing for me is that good or bad, Dallas was struggling putting up points with Dalton when he came in. I think he's getting more comfortable with the offense, getting more comfortable getting back into the flow of playing. And he still put 30 points up. They got a great defense. Their defense is, I don't want to say great defense, but their defense has been playing better.
Who?
Dallas. They're getting pressure at the quarterback from their defensive ends. So I just can't take Mullins on the road.
I don't see why you have a problem with Mullins. I think he's pretty capable.
Good. He's not that good.
Well, he might not be that good, but he's more capable than some of these.
They script it out. They get these short rollouts. He can be effective, but against a defense which Dallas has struggled mightily this year, but they're starting to look right at the defensive line position. So, I see this as almost. I know I'm not really giving San Francisco much credit here, but I see this as two bad teams. I'm going to take the home dog.
Well, my initial take on this game is San Francisco. I think to me, it comes down to Kyle Shanahan versus Mike McCarthy. And I'm going to take Kyle Shanahan all day. But to the extent, I don't know that San Francisco should be favored by 3 on the road in Dallas. So
I'm hating myself for saying taking Dallas, but I mean, I'm trying to look at this objectively and not with my heart. I like Dallas. I was mad last week of making Cincinnati a play because I liked Dallas the week before, and it was almost like I was thinking the last week. I'm like, I really like Dallas. They got smoked. It was, I think, Baltimore, and kind of went against them last week. I feel like they figured something out offensively that they could score some points. Amari Cooper's getting into the action. That was the key. He was missing for so much of the season in the middle of the season since Dak got hurt.
I don't know what side of the field he plays on, but if he's up against Richard Sherman, don't expect anything because Cooper's totally that guy that gets shut down by a good cornerback.
Well, I'm going Dallas.
All right. I'm going to take San Fran. I don't know that, really they should be favored by 3, but I think they win the game. So I'm going to take them just to disagree with you.
Did we bet on any of these?
No, we did not.
I mean, I don't want to bet on this one.
Yeah, you're not talking me into a bet on that.
I'm just trying to look back at any of the games that we kind of split on. You want to take Washington?
No. Did we really split on that many games?
No, I don't think so. I think we're in a lot of agreement, which is a good sign.
Either good or bad.
Which is a good sign for me to turn it around, hopefully.
All right. So last game up is, and I guess we never mentioned that this week we have the 2 Saturday games.
Oh yeah, by the way, Carolina at Green Bay, right?
Yes.
And Denver's the first one that kicks it off at 4:30. So Don't forget, Saturday, 4:30. So try to listen to this before 4:30. We got to get it posted early.
Takes time, Steve. Production takes time. All right. So last game.
Hopefully you're listening to this to get Carolina in.
Last game is.
That's the one. You like Green Bay. Yeah.
No, I didn't.
You came out firing. You like Green Bay.
No, and then.
You like Green Bay?
No,
you like Green Bay?
I'm not. No.
You listen back. I bet you said
I
Green
did
Bay.
not. I did not.
All right. Well, whatever you said in the beginning of the podcast is what your pick is. I don't care what you say right now.
Okay.
All right.
Last game, Pittsburgh at Cincinnati. Now, this is a division game. They played week 1 where Cincinnati did have Joe Burrow. Pittsburgh won that game 38-7. The Bengals, since losing Burrow, have put up 7 points, 19 points, and 7 points. So I'm taking the Steelers all day here, and I don't care what the spread is.
Are you concerned about Ben Roethlisberger not looking as good the last 2 games?
No, I think this is a get right spot for him after being undefeated and then losing 2 games in a row. I mean, this is the perfect spot for them. And even though it's been on the road, I'm not worried about that.
They've lost 2 in a row. Can they lose 3? I don't think so. They're definitely not losing this game.
Historically, the Steelers have just dominated the Bengals.
Exactly.
So
So how about this? I'm going to put something out there. Since we both like Pittsburgh. So the pick is Pittsburgh. I don't think this line can get high enough either. Do you want to bet? I'll put Cincinnati points over under 10. I want the under. Will you take the over?
No.
9.5.
No.
Will you take the over at 8.5?
No.
7.5.
No.
7.
No.
6.5.
I would think about it.
I'll take the over at 6.5.
No, I'm not going to bet that.
6.5.
I'm not going to bet
No,
that.
come on, it's one way or the
That's
other.
stupid.
You
That's like
you
one
jumped
score.
all over at 6.5. Yeah, it is one score.
No.
All right, you take it. You take the over. I'll take the under.
No.
I'd almost rope a dope there into it.
I don't want
They're
to.
going to score 3
I
points.
don't want to bet on that at all.
They're going to 27-3. That's my prediction. Take Pittsburgh.
All right. So that'll do it for us for week 15.
That's a
Got
wrap.
any closing thoughts, Steve?
Yes. Everybody, this is the last podcast before Christmas. So I hope everybody has a happy holiday.
So we're going to be doing, oh no, it's not going to be. We're going to do next week on Christmas night, right?
Yeah.
And
we'll have it. Well, nobody's coming over anyway. It's COVID.
well, it sucks that I was thinking that New Year's Eve would be that Friday, but that's the 1st. So we could bring in the new year with the podcast, but
Oh, no.
we could do it a day early because the games will be on.
No, because we'll have the kids up. Remember last year we started the pots and pans on the front steps? Even though they were 3 years old, they were up past midnight.
Yeah.
So they're not going to go to
Well.
bed before midnight. So I'm not doing a podcast at 1 a.m. Well,
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe.
We kind of do that anyway.
We'll figure it out. We got to look at the calendar. Anyway,
All right.
we got to go move Ernie
Yes.
the elf.
Peace out.